What's the craziest thing you've ever walked in on? I walked in on what I thought was my parents finally home from vacation. It was actually my neighbors, in my house. Having sex. Supposedly they were house sitting even though I had been there for the past week alone. I see them every day and can't look at them the same. When I was 16 years old I was extremely self-destructive, idiotic and alcoholic. I was hanging out at a friend's house one snowy winter night and we were drinking peppermint schnapps and Milwaukee's Best Light. My friend was one of those guys in high school whose parents didn't mind if he drank in the house. His mom was a laid-back hippie lady and his stepdad was a mild-mannered biker dude who let us do what we wanted as long as we didn't get too rowdy or smoke all their weed. So we were just kicking back, watching USA Up All Night and getting hammered. At some point in the evening my friend got sick and ended up locking himself in the bathroom puking his guts out. Fucking lightweight. I soldiered on with the schnapps for a bit and eventually passed out on the couch. When I came to I had the unmistakable feeling that I was about to shit my pants. I ran to the bathroom door. Locked. I knocked and loud whispered for my friend to open the fucking door. No response. My mind went into crazy about to shit your pants mode and I remembered that dude's parents had another bathroom in their bedroom. Okay, no problem. I can just sneak in there surreptitiously and take a dump. As I crept into their room in a delirious haze of booze, adolescent stupidity and impending butthole disaster, it was immediately apparent that his parents were not asleep. There were noises. And as the light from the living room poured in I could see the humping grunting forms of two slightly overweight copulating adults. In retrospect, the correct thing to do in that moment would be to slink out and go shit in the backyard, or maybe take a dump in the kitchen garbage can. Hell, it would have made more sense to poop in the cat box than to do what I did, which was quietly tiptoe across the room toward the bathroom, with the inane hope that I would go unnoticed. They noticed. Their undulating fuck movements ceased, as did their bestial love wails. I said something ridiculous like, "Don't mind me. Just off to take a shit," and proceeded into the bathroom. I got my pants down just in time for a hot jet of schnapps/beer diarrhea to shoot out of my asshole, and at that very moment, before my mind could really even register the relief, my friend's buck-naked stepdad kicked in the door and punched me square in the face. Multiple times. I tried to voice my protest, but as I did so, I began throwing up. Stepdad grabbed me by the shirt and dragged me, puking, bleeding, shit-covered, and begging for mercy out the back door and threw me into a snowdrift. I paused there for a moment, and then cleaned myself off with some snow and pulled up my pants. By that time, the mom had dressed and she came outside and gave me a ride home. We both apologized and she asked me not to mention what happened because the stepdad was on parole. I never mentioned it to anyone and we all stayed pretty friendly afterwards, which seems weird in retrospect. A coworker told me this story about how he got walked in on. He was sitting on the toilet dropping a deuce and playing Angry Birds. He had the bathroom door open because no one was home. Towards the end of the process of relieving his bowels his wife and child came home. His 3.5-year-old son comes walking into the bathroom. Son, "Hi Dad." Father, "Whoa buddy, I'm in here." Son, "Can I play Angry Birds?" Father, "Yay, but wait till I'm done in here. Can you leave now?" Son, "Okay," stares for like 5 seconds, "Wow. That's a big whiner." Father, "Get out now." Dead person, overdose, in a McDonald's bathroom while working. Did you loot him? +1 Big Mac. Probably when I was in tech school and worked security at a 12-plex movie theater, eventually becoming security manager, wasn't hard. With the turnover rate there I got it in 4 months. Being the manager gave me a set of keys and the only one with the ability to patrol the roof, where the doors to the projector booths were. I caught 2 female assistant managers on the floor going at it. A male and a female assistant manager going at it. The ironic thing was this was about 2 weeks later, and the female was one of the females in the item above. Managers making out with or doing things more than that in theaters with movies running, with snack bar or other workers. Theater 6 was the smallest and most popular for this, usually the longest running and thus lowest attended movies were in there. The theater manager being caught by his wife in his office with a girl that was a bit under 18. I should have took notes, changed names, and wrote a book. All kinds of other stuff happened as well, but those were the ones highest on the scale. It was the oddest 18 months of my life, but it sure paid the bills. Because I didn't tell on people, I had a lot of people there come to me and told me other things I didn't see as well. It was a real-life soap opera. Grade 4, recess, nearly half of my school walked in on a couple having sex in the soccer field behind our school. They did not stop, even with hundreds of little kids watching. I had a sleepover with my friend, I was 9 or 10 at the time, and I woke up around 3 in the morning to find myself alone in his room. I was worried about my friend's disappearance, so I decided to look around to see if he was downstairs. Anyways, I saw that his parents' bedroom was slightly open, so I took a peek and found him snuggling between his parents in their bed. Though it wasn't a big deal, so I was going back to his room to fall back asleep when I tripped over a heap of clothes, my friend's clothes. It turns out my friend liked to sleep naked between his parents. Walked in on a friend fucking his adopted sister. I walked out immediately and never spoke again of it. Walked into a public bathroom and there were two guys, on opposite sides of the room, fapping to one another. Classic Mexican standoff. One-on-one. I'll start. I work at a bar. I walked into the men's bathroom. There was a girl with her hands and face up against the wall, skirt up, and what I assume was her boyfriend licking her asshole. Neither of them seemed to mind I had just walked in. She must have been pushing 250 pounds. Closed the door, turned around, never spoke of it again. When you said 250 pounds, I'm sure I could hear the thousands of boners around the world slowly dying. Once, I walked on the Chicago public transit trains, while a couple was having sex. They were in the back section. You can see how the cars are sectioned off in this picture if you're not familiar with the trains. For those of you who have never ridden the L before, the back section always smells like pee because that's where homeless people go pee. They were sitting down, the woman was on top, and you could clearly see her face. There were probably a good 30 people on this train car, and nobody called the conductor, probably because of a combination of diffusion of responsibility and vicarious excitement. I asked the guy sitting across from me how long they'd been going at it, and he said that he had gotten on at Shermack, and they had already started. I got on at Jackson. I made eye contact with the woman a couple times. It was really awkward. I didn't want to look away, but I didn't want to look at her. She seemed to be getting off on knowing that everyone was staring at her. Most people on the train were avoiding eye contact. A couple were staring. I was mostly looking at everyone but the couple because their reactions were really funny. I loved looking at people as they got on the train as they realized what was going on. I ended up getting off of the train at Fullerton, and they were still going at it. Shermack to Fullerton is about a 20-minute ride. I have no idea what happened after that. At wrestling camp one night I went to the bottom floor of the dorms we were staying in because it had been kinda nice and quiet down there in the day and I wanted some of that. Literally walked in on a Fight Club. Well, now you're out. I walked in on my sister with a handful of pills about to try and kill herself. Thankfully we had a really long talk about things. She has been getting help and we have never been closer. It's a great feeling to have her here and I'm incredibly happy I was there at that moment. I worked at a bookbindery that was oddly located in a really shitty neighborhood. Once I walked into the bathroom to see this white trash, hippo-sized woman, topless, washing herself in the sink. She lifted up one of her massive flapjack tits to get underneath it while she looked me in the eye and explained they'd done shut off my water. I just turned around and walked out and left her for someone higher up to deal with it. When I was I believe 6 or 7, I was staying at a friend's house for the night. We played action figures and watched Night of the Living Dead, on Betamax, then went to bed. I was in a sleeping bag on the floor, he was in his bed. I woke up at some point propped up against the wall sitting on his bed. He was sitting up in his bed talking. I couldn't make out what he was saying except the last part, "I now pronounce you man and wife. You may now kiss the bride." He then leans towards me with his lips puckered. My natural reaction was to hit him in the chin with the palm of my hand. Blood spurted out of his mouth and he laid back down and started snoring. I crawled back to my sleeping bag and fell back asleep. The next morning I woke up to pancakes, bacon and Transformer cartoons, and my friend's dad saw me walk into the kitchen, looks me in the eye and said, "He have one of them night talks again?" "Yes sir." "I'm sorry No, it's okay. Little bastards kissed me too." I was a manger of a Papa John's. One Friday night right after the main dinner rush, I was taking some trash bins out back to be dumped when I heard a strange noise coming from the bathroom. The door is slightly ajar, so I just nug it open and find one of the drivers snorting a line of coke off the back of the toilet while fucking one of the assistant managers in the ass. It was awkward as hell and I immediately shut the door and called my area manager to get the clear for an immediate termination. Fired the driver 5 minutes later, and then was in the middle of firing the assistant manager when she offered to let me fuck her in order to keep her job, and even offered up an 8-ball. I had her arrested for possession and fired her anyway. She was a 4 on a good day, and a 2 the rest of them. 3 cats having orgy in my room. We don't have a cat,